So the Browns, you're welcome.
Thank you. The Browns. This is getting so off the rails. I don't know what I expected when we take a shot every other minute. Okay, the Browns, the Cleveland Browns, sad team from last year. I guess some people might have hoped if you had like Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper that team could have been explosive with Watson coming back after a 2.5 year absence from football. It wasn't. It sucked. And I guess people are hoping that it's going to be better this year. Uh, you can't do that to me, Mike. You can't put Amari Pooper into the chat while I'm talking because it will distract me. Uh, so I guess people are hoping that Watson will be good this year. I'm not of the opinion that he will personally. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm pretty scared of Watson. He took a big hit in his psyche, I think, with everything that went down with him, justified or not. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm just here to talk about the fact that what he went through was probably a lot, and then to also play football is a lot. And he looked like complete doo-doo garbage last year. And he is frightening to me, especially when he made so much of his damage on the ground and he is getting up there in age rapidly. So I want to throw it to Eric, since you're down in Florida, where there's a bunch of good time massage parlors. You can tell me what your thoughts on Deshaun Watson are.
So here's the thing. Do you guys know when there's like big news that's all over TV that's no news, right? I think there's also small news that's a lot bigger news than people are like making it out to be, right? So there was a report that came out like a week or two ago that Deshaun Watson went to management and went to ownership and said he wanted them to pursue DeAndre Hopkins. And they told him no. In my opinion, that's scary because I feel like there's a disconnect between Watson and management now, and they're locked into this 4 or 5 year contract. That's a little scary to me because they went all in on that guy with all of his baggage. And if they're not in lockstep with one another, there are definitely issues brewing in Cleveland. And can he return to the talent that he was now that he's had full off seasons, everything like that? Like, sure. But I don't know. Did that strike you guys as weird? I don't know if you guys saw that report or not, but
I mean, I think, Mike, will you agree with me when I say Brown's gonna Brown?
Browns be Browns. It's Matt, picture this. You take a quarterback number 1 overall. Your team has not had a winning season since the iPhone has been invented. He leads you to a winning season. He takes you to the playoffs. You beat your division rivals in the playoffs. And now you trade for a known friend of massage parlors and sign him to a fully guaranteed contract that breaks the market, but only for you because no other team follows suit. And you didn't do a full background check on the guy to make sure you like him. Browns beat Browns. And I'm out on Watson. I'm out on the Browns, except for maybe Amari Pooper, but we'll see.
I really like when Mike agrees with me. Yeah, Amari Cooper was like pretty decent last year. Like turned in a pretty decent overall despite the kind of poopy play. I mean, he got it done with Jacoby Brissett. So that's cool. But yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think we talked about it. I think we had a Browns dedicated episode a couple months back where I basically laid out for me, I want Chubb and end of list. I don't want really anything else to do with anyone else on this team, and Chubb really only if I'm competing.
I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I kind of want Njoku. I think that he has the athletic profile, the receiving profile, and he's theoretically like the number 2 option on the offense. I know they traded for Elijah Moore. I know DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones, is supposed to take a step forward, but Njoku is more talented than both of those guys and is a bigger play threat. So I think it goes, I want Chubb. I want Njoku as like a cheaper tight end because you can get him later and he'll probably finish top 7, 8, and then throw darts and hope for the best.
Yeah, I like Njoku too. Eric, you a Njoku guy?
I like him late. I feel like he's one of those 7 through 27 tight ends that you feel pretty good about just throwing in there if you don't have one of the top guys. And you're like, okay, like there might be a week I get 2 touchdowns and 100 yards out of him. And
yeah,
you're like,
he's my when I'm in a 2 tight end league, when I start 2 tight ends, he's my 2 tight end boyfriend.
yeah, I like that.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess the question posed here, Mike, you mentioned a DPJ who I really, really liked before Elijah Moore was traded for and acquired, which complicates things, I think, a little bit. Although kind of different players to me, but just, spreads the wealth a little more. Who scores more fantasy points is a decent question. I would have a follow-up question. Does it matter? Are either of them going to be players that you want on your roster?
With how deep some of our fantasy leagues go, like I play in one that it's 14 teams, 3 wide receivers, 3 flexes, and a super flex. So like there's all of this room for you to put a receiver. Like, yeah, he can be your whoever this is can be your 3rd flex on that team. Personally, I'm going to go Donovan Peoples-Jones scores more points, and he's the more useful fantasy asset because when he does score points, it's a 1 catch, 75-yard touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is a huge boost as your number 6 wide receiver versus Elijah Moore, who might have 3 catches for 14 yards and he got a first down and a half. Like, I think that they have very different play styles, but in 2 wide receiver sets, DPJ is going to be on the field because he's bigger and he can block. And he is closer to a Will Fuller play style, which is going to be something that Watson is looking for because he didn't get the DeAndre Hopkins acquisition. Eric, what do you think?
No, I definitely agree with that. If I'm going to throw a wild card on the 2nd wide receiver in the Browns, it's definitely Donovan Peoples-Jones. What do we think of David Bell? Because there was some people who really liked him.
Dead.
100%
dead. I love him.
I think he's worse than Peoples-Jones, and I think he's worse than Moore, which sucks because I think he's still decent. But behind those 2 guys,
there have been almost like 0 reports that he has a pulse. I forgot that his name exists. I took him in the late 3rd round, early 4th round of last year, and it was a wasted pick. So
I was reminded about him because I drew his rookie card in a recent football card pack that I broke. So that's when I was like, oh yeah, David Bell. That was a guy. Do I have him on any fantasy team? No? Okay.
Do you think he has a pulse? Do you like him at all? Or it's just you drafted him and you've take clock?
I thought 3rd, 4th round pick last year. I was kind of like, okay. And I think I have him on one team and it's just a super deep bench. So I haven't dropped him yet, but I'm kind of like, eh.
I mean, yeah, kind of small, not super athletic. Round 3 pick. I think he might be doomed.
You'd rather Moore than Bell?
Yes. Because they traded real draft capital, plus he like fits a role that they are looking for, and we've seen him do it on an NFL field. I think Bell's most snaps in a game is like 40%. Yeah. So, yeah, it's tough.
Is there a world that, like, just talking for people who have him on their dynasty rosters, is there a world that Bell gets cut and maybe goes to a team like the Rams, and you're just like, oh, wide receiver 2, 3 upside? No, okay,
dude. If I'm a GM, I'm not even calling the Browns to see if Bell exists. Like I'm signing Hopkins, I'm signing Zeke and lining him up at wide receiver and center. I'm finding any human with a pulse on the street to play before Bell.
I'll put it like this, just to, I mean, that I think it's very clear, but if I needed to put one of my 2022 rookies on the taxi squad and David Bell was there, David Bell would be on the waivers.
Fair. Okay. I just wasn't sure. I know he was a name that was around there last year that people were saying he was like, this Purdue wide receiver is like a sleeper. So
he had some hype. That's for sure. You're not wrong. Okay. Well, I guess we can get past that and then go to, I mean, do you guys want to talk a little bit of Nick Chubb? I think we all love some Nick Chubb, right? Actually, I don't know about Mike. I know that Eric loves Nick Chubb, and I like Nick Chubb. Mike, what do you think about Nick Chubb?
In redraft, I want to draft at.
We're talking dynasty.
Oh my God, I'm gonna get into it, but at the 1-2 turn, like at the end of the first round, so I can get me some Chubb, and I can get maybe number 1 running back for 2023. I think the age cliff is gonna come and it's going to hit him at some point, but I don't think it's this year and I don't think it's next year. So if you have a 2-year window, go buy you some Chubb while people are thinking that it's the time to sell, or if he gets off to a slow start. But I think Chubb has plenty of tread left on the tires and it'll buff. So I'm in on Chubb.
I just took Chubb as my RB3 in a league where I also have Christian McCaffrey and Austin Eckler. So I'm pretty excited at the prospect that I'm gonna have the RB1 out of one of those guys.
You're not, but we'll get into it at the Steelers portion.
Okay. That's foreboding. All right. I mean, moving past the Browns, do we have anything else we want to talk about here? I think we pretty much cleared it. It'll funnel through Watson, right? Everything past Chubb will funnel through Watson, even Chubb to a certain extent, unless he can like overcome Watson being bad, which I think that Watson will be pretty bad again. But even he will have limited opportunities. Maybe that's something to be a little scared about. But if he just overcomes and is Nick Chubb and is awesome, he definitely could have like a very, very good finish this year and still has a couple years left in the tank, in my opinion. But